Hello everyone and welcome back to Make a Website Lessons on Codecademy. So in the last lesson we talked about the box model and things around it such as borders, margins and padding. Today we're going to be starting off by looking at a bit more margins and then other things. So let's get started. The margin property creates space on all sides of a page element. It's also possible to set separate margin spacings on each side of an element. So additional margin properties are margin top sets the top margin, and it usually works clockwise starting with the top. So if you remember, how you set the margin is something like this. So but if you gave margin 4 properties, then the first one would be the top, second one right, third one bottom, fourth one left, and they can all be different. But if you just give it one property, it's going to do it for all 4 sides. So you have margin top, margin bottom, margin left, margin right. They do what you would expect them to. And below we will change margin properties for a div that encloses HTML figure elements. Figures are used to organize visuals such as photos and diagrams. So instructions. In index.html, figures with the class gallery item are contained inside a div with a class gallery. So gallery item, here we go. Contained inside a div with a class gallery. Okay, where is class gallery? Let's try and find class gallery. Ah, there it is. So we are working with those two. In main.css, oh no, that was in index.html. Okay, it doesn't matter because we're not working there for now. In main.css, locate the .gallery class selector. We have found that. Set the margin top property to 20 pixels. So margin dash top 20 pixels. Oops, not colon, semicolon. But if you just want to set one margin, then you have to do margin top or margin bottom. So let's run this, and I didn't really notice the change there, but I'm guessing that we did get a change, seeing as it did allow us to move on. Oh, okay. So if you notice, the space before this gallery, before this image, increases when I remove the comment. Hopefully that is noticeable. And also, these should have also increased very slightly, if anything. Okay. Moving on. Using borders, padding and margins allows us to control boundaries and space for individual HTML elements. But what CSS properties are available to move elements around on the page and create unique page layouts? The CSS display and position properties help accomplish this. So, display. Not all HTML elements are displayed on a page in the same way. Display types determine how HTML elements will be arranged in relation to each other. The diagram to the right illustrates the block and inline display types. So the block is on the left, on the right you have inline. So inline kind of organizes them one after another, and block organizes them one on top of another, again one after another, from what I see. But let's read the actual description. So in the diagram, notice the 2 dotted rectangles represent the web pages, so that's how much you have to work with. 2 HTML, heading, paragraph and unordered list elements are block level. Each appears on its own line on the web page. HTML image and anchor elements are displayed inline. They appear on the same line as their neighboring elements on the web page. Familiarize yourself with block and inline display types, then click next to continue. So these continue and these are one on top of another. And that's why these are inline and these are block. Display types can be overwritten in CSS by using the display property. So for example, we can make list items appear on the same line by setting display to inline. So we're selecting li or lists and we're displaying them inline. They are normally set as blocks, so one on top of another, but inline should make them one after another. So note below we will encounter an HTML nav element. Navs are used to organize site navigation menus on a web page. I think that we have actually used that. So on the Tundra Gallery homepage, notice the navigation bar and nav bar on the bottom left. So if I scroll down, as you can see, there's Arctic, Alpine and Antarctic. This is represented by a nav element containing a UL with 3 list items. Read through the HTML and locate this code. So here we go. There's the code, there's the nav, and there's the closing nav. So those. In main.css, locate the nav li selector. So what nav li is selecting is anything that is inside of nav and inside of li. So it's going to be selecting this one, and this one. So those are the 3 things we are selecting with this selector of nav li. Give it a display property of inline. Display and inline. Semicolon. There we go. Let's see the change then. So as you can see, instead of being one on top of another, now they're inline, so one after another. Click around and notice this the change in the web browser. List items, which are normally displayed as block level elements, display inline within the navigation. As I said. So that was keep it in line. So moving on to the last lesson, to the last part of this lesson, we're going to see what floats are. Nice work, the nav bar is starting to come together nicely. It would be even better if we could get the contact button to fill in the empty corner on the bottom right. So instead of having the contact just here, we want it to be there. It's going to look much better. To achieve this, we can use the Css Float property. By using float, we have the option of floating elements left or right. So consider the example code below. The class selector .logo floats left and the ID selector pound search bar floats right. Sorry. Let's arrange the contact button using float. So contact is currently on the left, but that doesn't really matter because it's not floating. We want to float it to the right. So in main.css, locate the class selector .contactBtn, which probably stands for button, and assign it float right. Click run and view the results in the web browser. So now we have a much prettier looking website, or actually it's a web page now. But yeah, I think that it is much better than what it looked before. The images are spaced out, they have a border around them, we have the contact button and the nav bar on the same line, and all of that good stuff. So in the next lesson we're going to be finishing it off and reviewing what we had learned so far. But until then, if you guys have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, dislike if you didn't like the video, post in the comments why you disliked it, and do all of that stuff. But until the next lesson, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.